U.S. President Donald Trump is making it clear to Canada and other American trading partners this morning. Trade deal or no trade deal, he's finding ways to slap on tariffs. The latest U.S. tax on imports is now in effect.
Addresses 60 countries, replaces what are called IEEPA tariffs, if you followed that, the 128 tariffs, and there's different justification, et cetera. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's not unexpected what's happening there, okay? It's part of the bigger puzzle.
Prime Minister Mark Carney and his top trade officials saw this one coming. The Trump administration had been signaling that it would find a way to replace the tariffs that expired at 1 minute past midnight. This new round of tariffs will add a 10% levy to some Canadian products going into the U.S. And just like the old tariff, it won't touch any Canadian exports that comply with CUSMA, meaning that it only applies to a narrow lane of the more than $400 billion of goods Canada ships to the U.S. Donald Trump appears to be reinforcing the tariff wall that was partly knocked down by the U.S. Supreme Court in February. The European Union and the UK, which have done trade deals with the U.S., are being hit as well. And as Julia Wong tells us, it appears to be Trump's latest attempt to use tariffs to disrupt global trade.
This new tariff had been expected for quite some time. There were 10% global tariffs in effect, but they expired at 12:01 a.m. Now, new tariffs are being brought in under Section 301 of the U.S. Trade Act, and they will be imposed on dozens of countries, including Canada, because of forced labor practices, because these countries import goods made with forced labor.
In 2018, when we redid NAFTA, one of the new provisions we forced Canada and Mexico to take was their own prohibition on forced labor. So in USMCA, we obligated them to do that. A few years later, we're finding that they aren't actually enforcing that, so they're included in this action.
This tariff was first floated by the U.S. administration last month, and the U.S. is arguing Canada imports goods made by forced labor and that it does little to stop it. After the tariff was announced on Thursday, the minister responsible for Canada-U.S. trade, Dominic LeBlanc, said in a statement that Canada shares the concerns of the U.S., and he says Canada has one of the most robust frameworks to prevent and address forced labor. Now, ultimately, this doesn't really change much for Canadian goods going south of the border. Under Section 301, Canada would see a 10% levy slapped onto goods, but products that are compliant with CUSMA would not be affected, meaning most Canadian exports will be exempt. So, in effect, the U.S. is swapping out the expiring 10% tariff for a different 10% tariff. However, a senior Trump administration official disputes that the new tariff is just a replacement, saying the U.S. is simply trying to level the playing field. Julia Wong, CBC News, Washington.